If you've been searching for project management roles and keep seeing the title Scrum Master pop up, you're probably asking yourself, is that the same thing? Can I apply for that too? Which one should I actually be going for? These are really common questions, and honestly, a lot of people, even people that are already working in project management, get confused about the difference between the two. I hold certifications in both. I'm a certified project manager and a certified Scrum Master, and in my time as a project manager, I've worked directly alongside several Scrum Masters across different teams and industries. So in this video, I'm going to break down as clearly as I can what each role is, which industries value each one more, and most importantly, what it means for you and the path you should be taking. Now let's start from the beginning. First of all, what is a project manager? A project manager is responsible for planning, executing, and delivering a project successfully, on time, within budget, and to the required quality. They manage scope, risk, stakeholders, resources, and communication across the entire project lifecycle. A project manager can work across different types of industries, and there are different ways of running a project. Think of it this way. A project manager's job is to get something from A to B, whatever that something is. A new software product, a building, marketing campaign, a company merger. The project manager is the one person accountable for making it happen. Now here's the important part. A project manager doesn't have just one way of doing their job. There are different systems, different methodologies for how you can actually run a project. And which one you use depends on the type of project, the industry, and the organization you're working for. That brings us to the next layer, project methodologies. A methodology is basically a system for managing projects. It's a set of principles and practices that shapes how you plan, how you work, and how you deliver your work. There are two main ones you need to know about. The first methodology is the traditional one. It's also called predictive methodology, and it's often associated with the term waterfall. Here's where you plan everything up front and you move through different phases sequentially, and then you deliver the deliverable at the end. It's structured, predictable, and it works well with requirements that don't change much. You can think of anything like construction, engineering, manufacturing, large government contracts, and so on. The second methodology is Agile. Agile is more flexible and iterative. So you work in short cycles, you adapt as you go, and you respond to customer and stakeholder feedback continuously. It became the dominant approach mainly in software development, and it has since spread into a lot of other industries. In practice, most organizations, though, use a hybrid of both. So taking what works from each depending on the project objectives, the stakeholders, and the project context in general. So a project manager needs to understand these methodologies and know when to use which. That's part of what makes the PM role a more generalist role, where the methodology is a tool and not the identity of the project manager. Now, within the Agile methodology specifically, there's another layer, because Agile isn't just one thing. It's basically a set of values and principles, and there are several different frameworks within Agile. For example, Kanban, Lean, extreme programming, and so on. But the most widely used one, especially in tech and product development, is called Scrum. Now, Scrum is a very specific way of organizing Agile work. It has defined roles, defined events, also called ceremonies, like daily stand-ups, sprint planning, retrospectives, and it defines rules about how a team should operate. It's structured enough to give teams a clear process, but also flexible enough to adapt to what they're building along the way. And this is exactly where the Scrum Master comes in. So a project manager is the umbrella term. They own the outcome, they work across any methodology. Agile is one methodology within project management that a project manager might use. And within the Agile methodology, there's one specific framework which is called Scrum. Now, the Scrum Master is a specialist in this specific Agile framework. So a Scrum Master is not a different kind of project manager. It's a specialist role that lives inside one methodology, inside one framework, that a project manager might use or might not use. Now, what does a Scrum Master actually do on a daily? The Scrum Master in its core is a servant leader and facilitator who basically helps the team work effectively within the Scrum framework. Their job is mainly to remove obstacles that block the team, to facilitate Scrum events, to protect the team from external distractions, and coach both the team and the organization on how to work in an agile way. The Scrum Master enables the team to self-organize and continuously improve. It's a deeply human-centered role, and a lot of it is facilitating, coaching, and creating that right environment for a self-organizing team to do their best work. And in organizations that use Scrum, these two roles can often do work side by side. So the project manager focuses on the delivery and the business, and the Scrum Master is focusing on the team and the process. These two roles can actually be quite complementary and don't necessarily compete with each other. Now, I want to be honest about where the lines blur, because they do. These roles do overlap. Both roles require strong communication, both are there to serve the team in some capacity, and both deal heavily with people, not just processes and plans. In smaller companies or startups, what I've personally seen is that one person often ends up doing both jobs, which is exactly why you'll see job postings that have kind of both job titles and responsibilities blended into one. The role titles don't always reflect the clean separation I just described, because in practice, organizations don't always hire both roles. Sometimes the project manager absorbs the Scrum Master responsibilities. Sometimes it might be the other way around. But understanding the clean separation is still important because it helps you know what you're actually signing up for when you apply for either of these roles. And it helps you ask the right questions in the interview too. Now, which industries actually value each role and why? So this is where it gets really practical because the value of each role is heavily shaped by the industry that you're in. Scrum Masters are most in demand in tech and software, product development, software as a service companies, digital agencies, and so on. These environments are really built around iterative delivery and fast feedback loops. So Scrum is literally designed for this context. You'll also find Scrum Master roles in fintech and digital banking, which have gone through major agile transformations in the last decade, for example, and also in consulting firms that are helping organizations adapt to more modern ways of working. In these industries, if you don't understand Scrum, you're at a real disadvantage. On the other hand, construction, engineering, infrastructure, healthcare, manufacturing, all of these kinds of sectors, they tend to operate more on traditional or hybrid methodologies. Here, the nature of the work is more fixed because of regulations and contracts and physical deliverables. So that's not always super suitable for Agile. In these environments, the classic project manager profile is what's really valued. And you're unlikely to see many Scrum Master postings. And then, of course, there's the middle ground, like marketing, retail, pharmaceutical, media, or many other fields where it's genuinely mixed. Some teams work in Agile, some don't, even within the same organization. But essentially, a project manager who can work across both is often more valuable here than a pure Scrum specialist. The point is, industry context matters, and it should shape your decision about which direction you actually want to go. But given all of that, what should you actually do? If you're not sure what kind of work or industry you want to go into, or you're just open to any kind of different industry and role because you just want to increase your chances of actually landing a job, I would recommend to start with the project manager path. It's a more generalist foundation that gives you flexibility. There are more roles, more industries, more options, and you're not closing any doors just yet. And you can obviously still specialize in Scrum or Agile later on if you want and if the role requires it. On the other hand, if you're super clear on wanting to move into a specific industry like tech, and your personal skills align more closely with the task that I described earlier for a Scrum Master, like facilitating and coaching, then it could be a better option for you to apply for Scrum Master roles. You can check out different job descriptions of each role and decide which one resonates more with you and aligns with your background better. But keep in mind, a lot of organizations are still in the middle of agile transformations, and project managers who bridge both worlds are genuinely in demand. So you don't necessarily need to become a Scrum Master, but demonstrating that you understand Agile deeply will make you a stronger candidate anyways. So to bring it all together, a project manager is the broad role. They own the outcome and they can work across any methodology. Methodologies are the different systems that a project manager uses basically to run the projects. And Agile is one of those methodologies. Scrum is a framework within the Agile methodology, and a Scrum Master specializes in making this Agile methodology work for the whole team. Project managers are the generalists, Scrum Masters are the specialists. Both are super valuable, but in different contexts, for different industries, and for different kinds of work. If you have a question regarding your specific situation, you can drop it in the comments below, and I'll read and reply to it. Now, thank you so much for watching. If you found this somewhat helpful, give it a like, subscribe for more content like this, and I'll see you in the next video.